local park or outdoor space to think about ways to improve the health of the community. And we want to get right over to meteorologist Matt Breland. We've got a big breaking weather update, Matt, for everybody.
That's right, guys. Yeah, we just got issued a tornado warning. This is for northwestern Greene County in central Kentucky, south central Luray County in central Kentucky, and also northeastern Hart County. This is including the city of Mumfordville. You'll notice there is this severe thunderstorm continuing to track just towards the northeast, and it's moving at 35 miles per hour. They issued this severe thunderstorm warning capable of producing a tornado. It was located over Mumfordville, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. Radar indicated storm spotters are going to be around checking this out, but you'll notice that we are seeing some of that rotation as it makes its way closer into Hart County and into Greene County. So over the last few minutes, this storm was showing some signs of having a bit of spin to it. As we went throughout the last upcoming minutes, we did see some of that rotation happening. So we're going to stay on this until it dissipates out. This tornado warning is in place until 5 a.m. Central Time. So you guys are over there in the Central Time Zone. It says 5 a.m. Central Time, expiring at 6 a.m. Eastern Time for those of you that are tuning in the Eastern Time Zone. But this is for Greene, Hart, in LaRue County, and this is until 5 a.m. Central Time. This severe thunderstorm is going to continue tracking its way towards the northeast, and you'll notice some of that rotation is present in the atmosphere here for this specific thunderstorm. So we'll take a closer look at it. So this is for Mumfordville. If you're in some of these cities like Minsdale, Linwood, or closer towards Pikeview, there's definitely some rumbles of thunder happening. And if we take a look at our velocity reading here, you'll notice that we are seeing a bit of some of that spin that's happening in that region. So once again, this is for Mumfordville and closer towards you guys near Minsdale. So this is the area that we're keeping a very close eye on. You'll notice within the green shading, we've got this area of red, and that shows that there is some spin happening in the atmosphere. So just outside of Mumfordville, that's where we're keeping a close eye on. So you'll notice just over the last few moments, we did see some of that rotation happening. And that's why they issued this tornado warning. Going to go ahead and give you guys a closer look at it. So you'll notice as that last few minutes went by, we did see some of that rotation happening. And so this spin, this area that we see making its way just outside of Mumfordville, just towards the northeast of Mumfordville, closer towards Hinesdale. If you are along Highway 357 or at the intersection of Highway 31 West, that is where that area of rotation is being watched. There's some lightning happening with that too. So that shows that there is some intensity within the storm as it continues to make its way quickly towards the northeast. Once again, this is for LaRue County, Greene County, and Hart County, and this tornado warning is in place until 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. As it continues to track farther towards the northeast, it's going to include definitely some strong gusty winds, even if there's not a tornado actually on the ground. This is a strong thunderstorm. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning in place for it for the same times, 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time for Hart County, LaRue County, and also Greene County. So this storm is continuing to track its way towards the northeast. We're going to stay on this as it continues to make its way farther in that direction towards Minsdale and near Linwood. So once again, severe thunderstorm warning and tornado warning in place for the following counties. This is for Greene County, Hart County, LaRue County. And so the reason why they placed this is because they started noticing that there was some spin happening with this storm. As this area of low pressure continued to make its way farther towards the northeast, it did show some signs of some rotation within this specific storm. So we're going to continue to keep a close eye on this. So the storm is moving at 35 miles per hour. And here's a track of the cities that are expected to see this storm arrive as we head into the next upcoming minutes. So if you are in the cities of Glen Lily, Linwood, Pikeview, Hudgens, or Mount Sherman, this storm is going to continue to make its way towards the northeast at 35 miles per hour. Within the next 30 minutes is whenever we're expecting this storm to impact these areas. Glen Lily, Linwood, Pikeview, Hudgens, Mount Sherman is where this storm that showed sign of rotation started developing over the last few minutes, and the National Weather Service in Louisville went ahead and put a warning on it, both a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning. warning in place for the next 30 minutes. So if you're just towards the northeast of Mumfordville, and if you're closer towards Hudgens, Glen Lily, and Menzdale, you need to be in your safe place. Make sure that you're in an area within your home that is not surrounded by windows. You want to make sure that you are in place where there's nothing that could lead to debris. Make sure that you're in a hallway, a central located part of your home, and this storm is going to continue to make its way towards the northeast as we head into the next 30 minutes. So once again, tornado warning in place for Greene, Hart, and LaRue County until 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. This storm is going to continue to track its way farther towards the northeast, and there is some signs of some rotation within it. And also within the storm, there's definitely some strong gusty winds, likely over 50 miles per hour, along with some small hail is possible with this as well, and some rumbles of thunder. So definitely some of these thunder rumbles are going to be waking you folks up there in Greene, Hart, and LaRue County. And this is in place until 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time as the storm continues to make its way farther towards the northeast. So we've got 30 minutes where we are expecting this to arrive once again for Glen Lily, Linwood, Pikeview, Hudgens, Mount Sherman, and also that includes Menzdale and located in this warning zone as well. So this storm continuing to make its way about 40 miles per hour towards the northeast. As it continues to track that direction, it's going to bring in definitely some heavy rain showers, and also the possibility for this tornado that could be developing as we head into the next upcoming minutes. So I want to bring up again the velocity data here. This is what we use to show the rotation in the atmosphere. And whenever we see things start to spin around, that's whenever it can cause the concern for there to be some tornadic structure in the atmosphere. So making our way farther towards the south where that rotation is located, once again just towards the northeast of Mumfordville, there's definitely some spin happening there in Hart, Greene, and closer towards LaRue County. So we're going to keep a very close eye on this. Definitely is looking like a bit of a spin up, certainly within that area. So this is just towards the northeast of Mumfordville. And if you live on Highway 569, this is definitely going to be impacting your area within the next few minutes. Once again, the cities that are included within this tornado warning are the ones as followed as the storm continues to make its way towards the northeast. It's expected to arrive near Glen Lily within the next 5 minutes. If you're in Glen Lily, you need to be in your safe place right now. Make sure that you're in an area far away from windows. Make sure that you are centrally located in your home. If you have a basement, that's a great place to be. Also Linwood, this storm is projected to arrive towards you within the next 10 minutes, also towards Pikeview. So this is farther to our south near Mumfordville. Tornado warned storm over the last 15 minutes, and it's continuing to make its way farther towards the northeast. So definitely looking like a healthy rotating storm. There's definitely some rotation happening with this, and the way that we know that is because within the raindrops, they're seeing some of those raindrops moving in an opposite direction than the main storm system. So that's what's making this red shaded area pop up within the green shaded region as well. So there certainly is some rotation happening within this strong thunderstorm as it continues to make its way farther towards the northeast. Once again, this is for Greene, Hart, and LaRue County. So if you are within those counties that I just mentioned, you need to be in your safe place because there's definitely some rotation happening within this thunderstorm. So once again, you'll notice just towards the south of 569, Highway 569, and also just towards the east of Linwood. If you're in Linwood or Pikeview, you need to be in your safe place right now because this tornado warned storm is continuing to make its way towards the northeast at 35 miles per hour, and it does have signs of some decent rotation within it. So this is an issue where you need to make sure that you're staying away from windows, make sure that you're in a place where you can remain sheltered. Once again, this is around until 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time for Greene, Hart, and LaRue County. So this tornado warned storm is going to continue to track its way towards the northeast around 35 miles per hour. Also, if you're closer towards Pikeview, Hudgens, or if you're on Highway 31 East, this is an area where you need to make sure that you're taking shelter because this is a storm that showed some signs of rotation, and as we've went through the last few minutes, it has shown that healthy rotation. There's definitely some spin happening within the atmosphere within this main line of storms. It's continuing to track its way towards the northeast across Kentuckiana. So we're going to continue to stay on this until we have the all clear from the National Weather Service, but it's in place until 5 a.m. Central Time for you folks that are in the Central Time Zone and 6 a.m. Eastern Time for Greene, Hart, and LaRue County. So we're going to take another scan of the velocity data. That way we can see how that rotation is looking within this certain storm. So it continues to hold on to some of that spin. So once again, the reason why that we have indicated that there is some rotation within the storm is you'll notice that those red shaded colors are starting to meet the green shaded colors. And anytime we see that on our radar data, that means that there is some decent rotation within this thunderstorm that was severe thunderstorm warned just a few moments ago from the National Weather Service in Louisville. So if you're along Highway 569 that connects into Mumfordville, you need to be in your safe place. This is definitely a healthily rotating thunderstorm that's continuing to develop as we head into the next upcoming minutes. I'll try and give you an idea on how fast these winds are moving. We're seeing some winds moving at it looks like this is further away from the radar, so our wind data is a little bit skewed there, but there's definitely some 60+ mile-per-hour winds within this thunderstorm as it continues to make its way through Hart and Greene and LaRue County. So this is a tornado warned storm that happened just a few moments ago, and this is in place until 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time for you folks near Linwood and also along Highway 569. So we're continuing to track this storm as it makes its way just along the area. Glen Lily, you guys need to be in your safe place right now. If you live in Glen Lily, the community of Glen Lily, then you need to be in your safe place. If you're closer towards Linwood, you have about 5 minutes until this storm starts making its way towards you guys as well. And once again, this is a tornado warned severe thunderstorm that showed signs of rotation a few moments ago. The National Weather Service wanted to make sure that they put a warning on it just in case there is a tornado within this certain thunderstorm, but there's definitely some strong winds happening with this specific storm as it made its way just across Greene, Hart, and LaRue County over the last few moments. It definitely showed some signs of some rotation, and it still is as it continues to make its way farther towards the northeast. That rotation is still continuing. So this area of low pressure that's been passing through Kentuckiana this morning did have a little bit of rotation just towards the center. So as it makes its way closer towards you guys there near Glen Lily, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place. Linwood, you need to be in your safe place as well. And also, if you're closer towards the city of Hudgens, I would advise that you get into your safe place also because this severe thunderstorm is going to continue. So we're going to stay on this as we go into the next upcoming minutes with this storm going through. Grace, Jim?
All right, Matt, thank you. This is such a great example of why it is so important to have your weather apps downloaded and ready in the event of a severe thunderstorm, a tornado warning, anything like the kind of severe weather that they're dealing with down there in Hart, LaRue, and Greene counties this morning. Make sure you do download the WHAS 11 app for your severe weather alerts. You are going to be able to watch live radar. You're going to be able to get the latest updates from our weather team, from Matt and Mallory, as they're handling everything during situations like this. You can make sure that you know as soon as those warnings are issued and as soon as they expire, because like Matt said, we're going to be with you until about 6 a.m. for these particular warnings. And Matt's been with us for 10 minutes or so. And yeah, Jim, so just a reminder for everybody to make sure that those apps get downloaded and make sure that people have their safe spaces available to them, in the event of severe weather popping up early in the morning.
Yep. Exactly. Lowest floors of your homes, central locations inside your homes, away from windows and doors. Mm-hmm. That's where you're going to be safest in the event of this tornado. And as you can see, Matt's scrolling on the radar right now, those boxes indicating where that tornado warning is currently tracking through our area right now. And Matt, we were looking at this storm earlier this morning and we saw the rain, we saw the potential for some thunder down to the south, but this really did kind of pop up quickly. And that just goes to show what this season in our area really can bring. These storms, any storm that comes through here can have that energy really kind of generate something like this at a moment's notice. Why people need to be able to have those weather apps and be prepared to get to their safe places very quickly.
That's right, Jim. Yeah, and this storm did show some signs of some of that weak rotation, and over the last few minutes, that rotation has still been continuing. It's been steady, and they still have this tornado warning. They've cut back on the warning a bit. They've now made it out of Mumfordville. So Mumfordville, you guys are in the clear now. The next upcoming cities that are still expected to have this arrival of this storm are in the following locations: Linwood, Camer, Allendale, Hudgens, Glen Lily, Lob, Rio, Powder Mill, Pikeview, and Eve. This is definitely a storm that you want to make sure that you're taking seriously as it continues to make its way through the following counties: Greene and Hart County. Once again, this is until 5 a.m. Central Time and also 6 a.m. Eastern Time for you folks that are in the Eastern Time Zone near there. So if you're along Highway 31 East, once again, this is a tornado-warned storm that's continuing to make its way through Greene, Hart, and LaRue County. And this tornado warning is in place for Greene and Hart County until 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. So it's continuing to make its way further towards the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So to give you an estimate on where this storm is now headed, it is crossing through Linwood at the moment. Definitely some rumbles of thunder there and some heavy rainfall. Linwood, Powder Mill, and near Terrell School. Definitely make sure that you're in your safe place at the moment. This is a storm that is showing some signs of rotation. There's definitely some strong winds happening with this. You'll notice that this is what we call a couplet. So whenever we see these two opposing colors, these are two wind fields moving in different directions, and there's certainly some rotation happening within it. So it's going to continue to move towards the northeast at 35 miles per hour, and this is just towards the east of Linwood. If you're in Linwood, you need to make sure that you're in your safe place right now. This is definitely a rotating thunderstorm. I would not be surprised if if this rotation is making its way closer towards the ground for you folks there in Hart and Greene County. So once again, if you are in Linwood or just towards the east of Linwood, if you're on Highway 569 towards the east of Linwood on your way to Hudgens, or anywhere just towards the north of Highway 569 closer towards Jonesville, you need to be in your safe place right now because this is looking like a rotating thunderstorm. I would not be surprised if some of this rotation is making its way closer towards the ground. There's a decent amount of spin happening within this specific thunderstorm, so you need to make sure that you are taking shelter. So we're going to take a scan at something that's called correlation coefficient. This is a tool that we use to see if there's any debris being noticed in the atmosphere. As of right now, we're not tracking anything that is not rain showers and that is not meteorological, which is anything that's water in the atmosphere. If there was anything that was trees or anything that was in the air, we would see a darker shade of blue. And so far we are not seeing that, but as I mentioned, I would not be surprised if some of this rotation is happening closer towards the ground. So once again, a tornado warning is in place for Greene and Hart County until 5 a.m. Central Time, and that's also for 6 a.m. Eastern Time. This is just over Linwood at the moment. If you are just towards the east of Highway 31 East between Jonesville and Linwood, you need to be in your safe place right now. There's definitely a rotating thunderstorm occurring this morning, and this tornado warning is still in place at least for the next 15 minutes. The National Weather Service is still continuing to keep a close eye on this storm as it moves towards the northeast. They're keeping that warning in place until 5 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time, and the storm is going to continue to track its way through the following cities. Within the next upcoming minutes, if you're closer towards Terrell School, you need to make sure that you're in your safe place. Now, I know this is a bit more of a rural area of Kentucky, but I know that there definitely are some communities that are along Highway 569. If you're on Highway 569 just towards the east of Jonesville, between Jonesville and Linwood, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place right now, making sure that you're away from windows in a central located part of your home. So once again, another scan of the rotation data here. You'll notice where that blue shaded area, that's definitely where some possible rotation is happening closer towards the ground. So that's the area that I'm really keeping a close eye on. You'll notice right here where I'm circling, that is just towards the east of Linwood, and that is where that tornado warned storm is definitely making its way through closer towards Linwood and just towards the west of Hudgens. If you're closer towards Hudgens on 569, if you're between Linwood and Hudgens on Highway 569, you need to make sure that you're in your safe place. Right now, this tornado warned storm is going to continue moving towards the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. Definitely some healthy spin happening within that storm system, and this is for Hart County and Greene County. So if you're in Hart County and Greene County, make sure that you're in your safe place right now, because this tornado warning storm is going to continue tracking through as we head into the next upcoming minutes. And so the reason why they put the warning on this, you'll notice over the last 15 minutes, we did see some spin happening within this specific thunderstorm just outside of Mumfordville. And as it made its way towards the northeast of Mumfordville, it started gaining some speed and definitely started gaining some spin with it as well. So the National Weather Service went ahead and put a warning on this. This was once again in place until 6 a.m. Eastern Time, 5 a.m. Central Time. And we're going to continue to keep a close eye on this as we head into the next upcoming minutes. Grace, Jim.
Thank you very much, Matt. And yeah, we do want to remind everybody, you can scan that QR code on your screen right now, download the WHS-11 app. That's where you're going to be able to watch the radar. You're going to be able to watch our coverage. You're going to be able to get the alerts as we get them, when this thunderstorm warning, this tornado warning is moving into your area, and when it eventually does expire, which Matt is saying will happen around 6 a.m. Eastern Time for all of our folks in the Central Time Zone. That'll be around 5 a.m. So it is a very early morning tornado warning. I'm sure a lot of you down there are waking up to sirens right now, putting yourselves in your safe space, and that is something that is going to be vital for you all in the wake of this storm. Again, we talk about that safe space, Grace. We're talking center of the house, as low as you can go, away from windows, away from doors, making sure that you are not putting yourself at risk of any of those winds breaking through and getting to you guys.
Yeah, and those are the places to be, absolutely, to make sure that you stay safe. Matt, in these kind of situations, they pop up so quickly, and the situation changes so quickly. Just in the last few minutes, we saw LaRue County dropped from that tornado warning. So things are changing, and this popped up, maybe a little unexpectedly for folks. So we want to make sure that everybody is able, Matt, to be aware when the situation changes, because it is developing so quickly.
Yeah, that's right. This definitely was a quick spin-up storm. And, sometimes when we get these types of complexes that are moving through this morning, sometimes there is some embedded rotation within the main area of circulation. And that's pretty much what's happening right now. The city of Mumfordville just so happened to get caught in that main line of spin. So this is the main storm system that we're keeping an eye on. You'll notice as it made its way just towards the northeast, we started seeing some of that rotation starting to occur closer towards Mumfordville, and then that's where they started issuing that tornado warning. So once again, for Greene and Hart County, you guys are in a tornado warning until 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time, and this is including some of these smaller communities within the county. So really the cities that are being impacted by the storm at the moment, just towards the just towards the east of Linwood, that is the city that needs to make sure that you guys are in your safe place. And also some of these smaller cities like Hudgen, Powder Mill, you guys are also located within this tornado warning storm as well. So as it continues to make its way farther towards the northeast, it's still going to include some of this possible rotation. So I do want to keep on showing this scan here that shows this healthy rotation within this storm. I mean, whenever you see these two opposing colors where the reds are meeting this blue shade, that means that there's some strong winds happening within the storm. So let's see if we can get a reading on how fast these winds are moving. There's winds up to 85 miles per hour located within this rotating thunderstorm. So there's definitely the possibility that there is a tornado on the ground moving towards the northeast, just towards Hudgens. So if you are in Hudgens, the city of Hudgens, within Greene and Hart County, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place right away. Powder Mill, also, you guys are in that tornado warning as well. That is expected to continue for the next upcoming minutes. So this tornado warning storm was indicated just a few moments ago across Hart County, closer towards Mumfordville. They started noticing some rotation within this storm, and as it continued to move towards the northeast, it just kept on rotating. So that's why they kept the tornado warning on there. And once again, tornado warning in effect until 5 a.m. Central Time for northwestern Greene and east central Hart counties. And at 4:38 a.m., this is the analysis that the National Weather Service found. The severe thunderstorm was capable of producing a tornado just towards 8 miles east of Mumfordville. That's where they started noticing that rotation, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. hour. And as the storm continued to move towards the northeast at 30 miles per hour, it started showing some more rotation. And that rotation that we are showing you guys this morning, this is where those red and blue colors are meeting each other. That's the rotation that they definitely noticed, and they wanted to put a warning on it just to make sure that people were aware that this is a possible tornado on the ground for you folks just towards the north of Hudgens. And we're going to continue to keep a close eye on this as it moves farther towards the northeast. So once again, where those red shaded colors are meeting those blue shades, that's where that area of rotation is located within the thunderstorm. Some of those winds are up to 85 plus miles per hour. So definitely some strong spin happening within that certain thunderstorm. So once again, if you're along Highway 566 just towards Hudgens, you need to make sure that you're in your safe place right now. You need to make sure that you're in a centrally located part of your home. That way you can stay away from windows and just continue to ride the storm out. It's moving fairly quickly this morning, moving towards the northeast at 35 miles per hour. And it's going to be making its way closer towards Highway 61 between Mount Sherman and Allendale within the next 5 minutes. So if you're along Highway 61 between Mount Sherman and Allendale, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place as well, because this thunderstorm with some rotation is going to be headed that direction within the next 15 minutes. So the storm is moving at 35 miles per hour towards the northeast just outside of Hudgens, and this is going to include the city of Terrell School and also Wards. So within the next 15 minutes, this strong thunderstorm is going to be headed that direction for these cities, Terrell School and also Wards. This is for Hart and Greene County until 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. This rotating thunderstorm continuing to make its way closer towards those counties. Now, over the last scan, we are starting to see that this rotation is starting to weaken a bit. Those colors are starting to not look as bright, so that means that we are starting to see this activity fall apart. The National Weather Service is still keeping a warning on this for at least the next 10 minutes. They're keeping a close eye on this. You'll notice the structure of the storm not looking as healthy as it was earlier as the storm continues to make its way farther towards the northeast. But once again, if you're located in Greene or Hart counties, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place. If you are in between Allendale, the cities of Allendale, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place as well. I would say if you are along Highway 61, they're closer towards Allendale, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place. This is where that strong thunderstorm is continuing to make its way closer towards you folks there on Highway 61 in between Mount Sherman and Allendale. This is in Greene and Hart County. The National Weather Service continuing to keep a tornado warning on this for the next 8 minutes. So the reason why they put that warning on there is because they started noticing some rotation happening within this certain thunderstorm, and I'll show you what we're talking about. So over the last 15 minutes, as the storm made its way into Linwood and closer towards Hudgens, it definitely picked up some strong, it definitely started rotating as it started going towards the northeast, just towards Hudgens. So as it continued to make its way towards the northeast and farther into Hart and Greene County and made its way closer towards Highway 61 there between Mount Sherman and Allendale, it started showing some signs of rotation. So that's why that tornado warned storm started happening. So as it's made its way closer towards Highway 61, I will say the rotation starting to appear a bit weaker. The winds, it looks like they have started to ease up a bit too. Earlier we saw that some of those winds were closer to 85 miles per hour. Now it's looking a bit more like 40 miles per hour, so we are starting to see some of those winds weaken up a bit, but there's definitely some strong winds happening still within this thunderstorm. So just because there may not be an actual tornado on the ground, still keep in mind if you're in Hart or Greene County, there's still some intense weather happening for you guys. We've got strong winds happening and also the possibility of some small hail happening within that thunderstorm too. So I know it's the early hours of the morning. I know most people are inside. Just make sure that you are staying indoors away from those windows. There still could be some tree limbs that could be scattered around with these strong winds that are happening within the storm. closer towards Hudgens and also making its way along Highway 61 closer towards Allendale. So I would say if you're in between Mount Sherman and Allendale, you need to be in your safe place right now within your home, staying away from those windows and making sure that you are staying up to date with the latest weather information. We still have a few minutes left on this warning. The National Weather Service is still continuing it out. It looks like they have not extended the warning though, so we're going to continue to keep a close eye on this into the next upcoming minutes before they expire the warning. I'm thinking that they are going to let this warning ride out until 5 a.m. Central Time.
Yeah, 5 a.m. Central Time, Matt, so just about 5 minutes or so away, but it is a good time for a reminder to get to your safe space if you are in one of those areas Matt's been talking about this morning. What does that mean when we have a tornado warning? What does that exactly look like? Well, you want to go to your basement or the inside room on the lowest floor. I know for me, that would be an interior bathroom with no windows. That's going to be the safest space for a lot of folks if you don't have access to a basement. And yeah, avoiding windows is really what's key here. You don't want to risk any of the windows breaking, damaging your home, damaging yourself, hurting somebody. Stay away from those windows. So yeah, again, get to a basement or an inside room on that lowest floor.
That's right. And of course, we want to make sure if you don't already have the app downloaded, scan the QR code, make sure you have the app ready to go. That's how you're going to get the most up-to-date alerts. That's how you're going to be able to track the forecast with us. Matt has been watching this for the last number of minutes. And Matt, as we're kind of heading towards 6 a.m. Eastern time, 5 a.m. Central time. That's when this this warning was set to expire. I do just want to recap a little bit about what you've been saying so far today, Matt. I mean, so you said radar indicated. That's something that you've been saying a lot. This thunderstorm radar indicated rotation. We haven't seen any debris signatures so far this morning, but you did see those two areas of colors kind of mixing together, indicating some strong winds, 85 miles per hour at one point. So this was a pretty strong storm at one point, and that did indicate potentially some spin, especially over the areas like Linwood and Hudgens, right?
Absolutely, yeah. That was the area that was definitely seeing some of those stronger winds as they made their way closer towards Linwood and Hudgens. There definitely was some spin happening within that region. And I do want to mention we're starting to see this storm gradually start to weaken as it's making its way closer towards Highway 61. I would say this is starting to transition into more of just a strong wind thunderstorm as this made its way closer towards Mount Sherman and closer towards Allendale along Highway 61 within that area. We're starting to see those winds begin to break up a bit, but there definitely was some strong rotation earlier within the storm. Over the last 15 minutes, it certainly picked up some speed as it crossed over Highway 569 near Linwood. Over the last few minutes, though, it has started to lose some of its power. So over the next few minutes, this severe thunderstorm warning started to show some signs of rotation, and now it looks like that they're going to let that warning expire out within the next 4 minutes. So once again, Greene and Hart County, this tornado warning is set to expire within the next 4 minutes for you guys at 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. And then they have already put a severe thunderstorm warning in the following counties for Greene, LaRue, and Marion and Taylor counties. That is for the same thunderstorm. And once again, if you're in Greene, LaRue, Marion, or Taylor County, you just need to make sure that you are also within your safe place, because this thunderstorm did show some healthy rotation earlier, and sometimes we can see that rotation redevelop as we go into the next upcoming minutes. So here's another check of that rotation scan. As I mentioned earlier, we did see some of that healthier rotation as the storm continues to make its way closer into the northeast. Once again, for LaRue, Greene, Hart, and also Taylor counties. We're going to keep a close eye on this because the rotation was fairly strong earlier, but as it made its way farther towards the northeast, just outside of Mount Sherman and just towards the north of Allendale, it did start showing some signs of some weakening. But the National Weather Service is going to keep a very close eye on this storm as it continues to make its way farther towards the northeast. So we still have 3 minutes left on this warning. We're going to continue to keep you posted as we head into the next upcoming minutes. Once again, for Greene and Hart County, you guys are still under that tornado warning. If you're on Highway 61 between Allendale and Mount Sherman, make sure that you're in your safe place. This is still a rotating thunderstorm as it continues to make its way farther towards the northeast. This warning will be expiring soon, but there's still a severe thunderstorm warning now in place for Greene, LaRue, Marion, and Taylor counties. This thunderstorm still has some strength to it, and I do want to mention this is from the latest from the National Weather Service. They have this severe thunderstorm warning around until 5:30 a.m. Central Time. That's 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and the following counties are included in this warning. This is Greene County, LaRue County, Marion County, and Taylor County. There's a severe thunderstorm traveling at 35 miles per hour. So to give you an estimate on what cities are expected to see the impacts of this thunderstorm, I'm going to go ahead and draw this out for you. So if you are located within the following cities that I'm listing here: Bloyd, Badger, Maple, Willentown, Mount Washington School, Knox School, and Findlay. those areas are going to see this strong thunderstorm moving through within the next 30 minutes. So you need to make sure that you stay in your central located part of your home, away from those windows, as the storm continues to make its way farther towards the northeast. It's still holding on to a bit of that structure that shows some decent signs of strong thunderstorm activity, and we're going to take another look at that rotation to see how healthy it's looking. It still has some spin to it, but as we mentioned, there was no debris being detected in the atmosphere. So they still have 1 minute left in this warning, and as it continues to make its way farther towards the northeast, it still has a bit of strength to it. So this thunderstorm is still going to track its way farther towards Marion and Taylor counties, just towards I would say if you're just towards the southeast or southwest rather of Raywick, then you need to make sure that you are staying indoors inside your safe place as well. I know it's the early morning hours inside, and just make sure that you're staying indoors. And it looks like they have released that tornado warning for Greene and Hart County, and now this is just going to be a severe thunderstorm. So we're going to continue to keep a very close eye on this. As I mentioned, it showed some signs of strong rotation earlier. As we head into the next upcoming minutes, this storm could have the possibility of having some of that redeveloping rotation. I'll keep a close eye on it and make sure that we give you the latest weather updates. But for now, I'll toss it back over to Grace and Jim, and we'll provide more information if we have another tornado warning on this storm.
Matt, thank you so much. Hey, we do want to remind you folks, go ahead and scan that QR code if you haven't already and download the WHAS-11 app. When stuff like this happens, that is going to be your best way to get those severe weather alerts. Our impact team brings them to you constantly as soon as they happen, getting all the latest information so you can stay safe. We hope you'll stick with us here. After the break, we'll be back with our 6 a.m. hour of Good Morning Kentuckiana.
It is 6:04 on your Friday morning. Good morning to you, Kentuckiana. I'm Jim Stratman.
And I'm Grace McKenna. If you are just joining us, we have a pretty serious weather situation to tell you about down to our south in the area of Greene, Hart, LaRue counties. Matt has been tracking a tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warning down to that area. And Matt, a little interesting here. We popped out of that warning here for just a second, but now we're going to come back to you because it does appear that rotation potentially came back, and so they're popping that warning back on.
That's right, you guys. Yes, sometimes with these rogue storms that show rotation, sometimes they can go through periods where they weaken and then build back up. And so here recently, the National Weather Service just extended the tornado warning for the following counties. This is for Greene, LaRue, Marion, and Taylor counties. And if you're in the city of Badger right now, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place, because this severe thunderstorm definitely brought in some strong rotation, and it's continuing to move towards the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So if you're near Badger, Maple, Mount Washington School, St. Mary's College, Calvary, within the next 30 minutes, this severe thunderstorm with some very intense rotating winds are continuing to make their way through those following counties: Greene, LaRue, Marion, and Taylor County. So whenever we mention rotation, this is what we're talking about. I'm going to show you the area that we're really concerned with, and this is over the city of Badger at the moment. There's definitely some strong rotation happening within this specific severe thunderstorm. So if you're in the city of Badger along Highway 210 or along Highway 462 closer towards Maple, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place right now, because this is where that rotation is happening, and that is why they kept this tornado warning on the storm. So the area that I have circled right here, that's the area that is showing that rotation, and that rotating thunderstorm has the possibility of having a tornado on the ground with it. So that is for the city of Badger. The storm is moving towards the northeast at 35 miles per hour, so at a decent speed. So if you are along Highway 210 closer towards the city of Badger, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place, staying away from windows, staying in those centrally located area. A hallway, if you have a basement, that's a good place to be. But this is that one severe thunderstorm that started showing some rotation over the last 30 minutes, and as it continued to make its way towards the northeast, it continued to bring in some of that spin with it. So it showed some signs of weakening. As it made its way farther towards the northeast, it started to redevelop. So if you're towards the city of Badger, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place. If you're along Highway 210 closer into Badger, and this is for LaRue, Greene, Hart counties, you guys need to make sure that you are in your safe place as the storm continues to make its way towards the northeast. It has that potential for having some rotation within the main severe thunderstorm. So the storm that showed some of that sign of rotation, it's this one that I'm pulling up on the radar right now. Definitely a messy pattern for our Friday morning. LaRue, Marion, Taylor counties, you guys are located within this tornado warning. Once again, this is until 6:30 Eastern time. So we're going to continue to stay on this as it makes its way through this rural part of Kentuckiana. So LaRue, Marion, and Taylor County, you guys are under this tornado warning until 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. If you're in the city of Badger, that's where the storm is located at right now. We're continuing to keep a very close eye on that. This is where a lot of that activity is focused at. There's definitely some heavy rain happening within this, and there's also the possibility that there is a tornado on the ground with this storm as well, because there was some strong rotation that was happening with it over the last few minutes. So here's a check of the velocity scan. You'll notice that those areas where those green colors are meeting the red colors, that's where that rotation was indicated within this severe thunderstorm. And this is along Highway 210, and it's continuing to make its way farther towards the northeast. If you're along Highway 462, just towards the south of Attila, this is also where that storm is continuing to make its way through along Highway 462. So if you're in between Badger and Attila on Highway 462, you need to make sure that you're in your safe place, somewhere away from windows, somewhere in a hallway that is going to keep you safe from this rotating thunderstorm as it continues to make its way farther towards the northeast. So I would say if you're in the city of Badger right now, you're definitely seeing some strong rotating winds. There's definitely some lightning happening with that storm, heavy rainfall. All of modes of the severe weather are happening in Badger right now. As it continues to make its way farther towards the northeast, it's going to be arriving closer towards you folks that live on Highway 462, and that is near Attila and in between Badger and Attila. So if you are located within that region, you're under a tornado warning until 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. So giving you another idea on how things look with our radar scan that we're continuing to keep an eye on. You'll notice that storm still continuing to make its way closer into LaRue, Marion, and Taylor counties. So they've taken Greene County out of this. If you live in Greene County, you are in the clear. You are just seeing rain showers at the moment. But this is the one storm that we're keeping a close eye on as it continues to make its way farther towards the northeast. So if you are just towards the west of Lebanon, and if you're closer towards Raywick, you guys need to be in your safe place. This strong thunderstorm showed some signs of rotation, and that rotation is still a possibility. As we continue to get new radar information in, we're still seeing that rotation is still a possibility. So once again, if you're in between the city of Attila and Badger, that is where that rotation is continuing to make its way through. If you're closer towards the city of Maple, you're under a tornado warning until 6:30 a.m. Along Highway 462 between Attila and Badger, we're continuing to see some of this rotation making its way closer towards you folks as well. So make sure that you're in your safe spot, somewhere away from windows, somewhere that is centrally located within your home. If you're in the city of Maple, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place. So this is continuing to make its way towards the northeast. There's still some signs of rotation with us. The National Weather Service continuing to keep a tornado warning on this storm for the next 20 minutes. So once again, this is for the following counties. This is for LaRue, Marion, and Taylor counties. Grace, Jim?
Yeah, Matt, you know, you mentioned the safe place for those folks in Badger and Attila and down in those counties that are under that tornado warning right now. What does that look like? Well, of course, you know, go to your basement if you have one. We know a lot of folks don't, though. So if that is the case for you, I know it's the case for me, go inside to the lowest floor in an inside room. So for a lot of folks, that's probably going to be something like a bathroom and an interior little room there, maybe a closet or pantry if you can get somewhere like that this morning, and stay safe if you're in one of our impacted areas. And hey, this is just good information to know. The biggest thing, too, again, is also to avoid windows. So you want to make sure that you stay away from those exterior rooms in your house.
Yeah, that's right. We also want to make sure you know, don't stay in a mobile home, too. That's very important. If these strong winds start coming in, those mobile homes can easily be either picked up or flipped over, depending on how strong these winds are. That's not safe. Also, if you need to, cover yourself with something sturdy to avoid falling debris coming down and injuring you. And of course, make sure you have the WHS 11 Weather Impact Alert app. You can download that. It's going to give you all the alerts that you need. It's going to allow you to track the radar, see Matt live as he is tracking this storm system in case we have more tornado warnings continue to pop up, because we're watching one now. We were watching one that expired just minutes ago, and then a new one popped up. This is a storm that can very easily create new tornado signatures.
Yeah, and for right now, at least, we do have, Matt, about 15 more more minutes left on that warning, so it's definitely something people are going to want to be tuning in and paying attention to so they can track it moving through the area. When it comes to that movement, you were saying 35 miles an hour or so for the speed here. In the grand scheme of things, what does that look like? Is that fast? Is it slow? What should people be aware of?
I would say that's a decent speed. You know, it certainly is a storm that's moving quick enough to cause urgency, but also it still is allowing people to give time to get to their safe place. So the cities that are still included within the warning are Maple, Mount Washington School, Raywick, St. Mary's College. St. Mary, I would say within the next 10 minutes, this is where that storm is going to be arriving for you folks, located within LaRue, Marion, and Taylor County. So the reason why they put this warning in place is because it was from a previous thunderstorm that was making its way towards the east of Mumfordsville. As it made its way away from Mumfordsville and closer towards some smaller communities located within Greene and Hart County like Linwood, it started, and Badger, they decided that they needed to keep that warning in place because that rotation was still very healthy. So at 6:07 a.m. Eastern time, that severe thunderstorm that was capable of producing a tornado, it was still located 11 miles northwest of Campbellsville, and it was moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. So this is that thunderstorm that I'm talking about. It started showing some healthy rotation, and so if you're located near Lebanon, Loretto, Raywick, St. Joseph, Attila, and Badger, you guys definitely are seeing some of these strong thunderstorm impacts. So taking another look at how the rotation is looking, this is where we see the spin in the atmosphere starting to look a little less organized again. So once again, this is a bit of a wonky storm. Over the last few minutes, it showed some signs of rotation, then it showed some signs of weakening, and then it started showing some signs of rotation again. So the area that I have circled right there, that is just outside the city of Badger. That is our tornado warned severe thunderstorm that's still in place until 6:30 a.m. And that is going to keep on moving at about 35 miles per hour. As it continues to make its way farther towards the northeast, it's still going to include some of that rotation with it. So the cities that are likely going to see this impact are going to be Mount Washington School, St. Mary's College, Lebanon, Glasscock School. You guys are in that tornado warning until 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. So that area that I have circled on your screen there, that's the area that we're keeping a close eye on. That's where some of that rotation has been occurring this morning within this certain thunderstorm. As it made its way just outside of Mumfordsville, it started spinning up a bit, and anytime we see those colors changing direction with this type of radar data, that's whenever we really start paying attention to it, because it has the possibility of including some of that tornadic signature. So keeping a close eye on this storm as it continues to make its way through our cities just towards the south of Raywick and just towards the east of Attila. So if you're located on Highway 462 towards the east of Attila, make sure that you're in your safe place. If you're in the city of Raywick, you need to be in your safe place too. This severe thunderstorm started showing some rotation a few moments ago, and they're continuing to keep an update on the warning. So it looks like now some of the following cities are no longer included in the warning. If you're in Badger, you're in the all clear. If you are in Attila, you are all clear. This tornado warning is still continuing until 6:30 a.m. Eastern time, now just for Marion County. So they've trimmed back the warning a bit as the storm continued to make its way just outside of Badger towards the northeast. And now the following cities are still included in the warning until 6:30 a.m. Mount Washington School, St. Mary's College, St. Mary, St. Charles School. That is still included in that tornado warning until 6:30 a.m. So this thunderstorm still showed some signs of some rotation over the last few moments, and they're continuing to keep just a close eye on this. And as I mentioned, this has been a funny storm. There's been some signatures that showed that it was rotating at times, and then there were some signatures that showed that it was starting to weaken. So this is the area that we're keeping a close eye on. I'm going to circle it right here just towards the east of Raywick. That's the area where that thunderstorm was showing a bit of rotation, and that is just towards the west of Lebanon as well. And along the following highways, if you're on Highway 527 or Highway 84 along Raywick and closer towards St. Mary, you need to make sure that you're in your safe place, because this is a severe thunderstorm that showed some rotation earlier. They put a tornado warning on it to make sure that there was some urgency addressed with it, so that if there was any possible rotation on the ground, that people were aware in these more rural areas of Kentucky, and that there was a possible tornado on the ground with this system. So this is until 6:30 a.m. now just for Marion County, and this includes Mount Washington School. So if you guys are closer towards Mount Washington School or just towards towards the south or east of Raywick. You guys are seeing this strong thunderstorm moving through that has the potential for some spin with it. So the National Weather Service continuing to keep this warning in place until 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. It includes the city of Marion and also St. Mary. And if you're just towards the south of Raywick, that's where some of this rotation is possible as well. So giving you another idea on where that rotation is located. So the area that I have circled here on our velocity checker, and this is what we use whenever we try and get an idea of where that rotation is. It definitely has showed some more signs of weakening. This is the area that we're keeping a close eye on, just along Highway 84, just towards the south of Raywick. That is where some of that rotation was located within this severe thunderstorm as it continued to make its way just outside of Badger. So I know that is a smaller community. Badger, if you guys are in the clear, Attila, you guys are in the clear as well, but if you are in Raywick along Highway 84, closer towards St. Mary, just towards the west of Lebanon, you guys need to be in your safe place. This tornado warning is still around for at least the next 12 minutes as it continues to make its way towards the northeast at 35 miles per hour. The following cities are still included in the warned storm. So giving you another check on the radar information here. This is for Marion County. This thunderstorm is moving at 35 miles per hour, has possible rotation with it. St. Mary, you guys need to be in your safe place. The storm is going to be headed that direction within the next 10 minutes. And that is also including St. Mary's College and also St. Charles School. So within the next 10 minutes, you guys need to make sure that you are staying indoors, away from windows, making sure that you are in your safe place in a hallway until this storm finishes out. So that's a quick check of what we're looking at the moment. Grace, Jim?
All right, Matt, thank you so much. Things are changing so rapidly with this storm, but as we head into the last 10 minutes or so of this warning, potentially, we never know. Again, like things could change. We want to remind you of those safe space advice points. So, of course, go to a basement, the inside room on your lowest floor. Maybe that is for you a pantry or a closet or an interior bathroom. Those are some good spaces if you do not have access to a basement, but that's really going to be your best place. Avoid windows. If you happen to live in a mobile home, ideally that would not be the situation, but that is a dangerous situation in a tornado. It's a reality for some people too. We want to acknowledge that, but that's not going to be a safe place to be if you can avoid being in that kind of circumstance in these situations. And then cover up if you can. Make sure that you have something sturdy to cover your body with just in case things potentially get really bad. This is going to be good advice for any of the storms that we deal with, during this severe weather season, which we know is definitely underway here. It is definitely underway here in Kentuckiana. And of course, you're going to want the app as well. That's where we're going to be able to track all of these storms that move through, tornado warnings, watches, thunderstorms, all of it's going to come to that app. You can watch the radar, you can watch our live coverage, so you can keep informed and keep up to date and keep safe during this severe weather, which is something that we have seen really kind of pop up maybe a little bit unexpectedly earlier this morning. I mean, going all the way back into the 5 o'clock hour, I mean, we saw those storms moving through, but we thought a lot of it was just going to be rain. And then immediately in the south, you see that energy start to intensify, that rotation begins. And Matt, it really started to kind of synergize and get that rotation almost out of nowhere. But now you're saying that as we've moved out of kind of the Greene County area, the storm over Linwood, I know, had that very signature, very tight red circle, that blue circle showing those wind directions. Now you're saying things are getting a little bit more scattered. Is that a good thing at this point in the morning?
Yeah, I would say this is definitely showing a trend that it's starting to weaken again. Earlier it showed that sign of strengthening and then weakening, and these types of storms, they have the tendency to do that whenever they just break away from the main focus where a lot of the rain showers are happening across Kentuckiana. Whenever that happens, sometimes they can go through periods where they weaken, strengthen, and then weaken again. And so I would say right now this storm is starting to see more of a weaker wind profile as it makes its way just towards the west or the east of Raywick along Highway 84. This tornado warned storm was healthy, was showing some signs of healthy rotation earlier. There's still definitely some strong winds associated with this. Winds are being reported of being close to 40 miles per hour at times within the storm, but the National Weather Service still is keeping this warning around until 6:30 a.m. for Marion County. So Marion County, you need to be in your safe place. This tornado warning storm has been around for the last 30 minutes, and this is still around until 6:30 a.m. They still may keep an extension on it as we head into the next upcoming minutes. But once again, the following cities are located within this tornado warning: St. Mary's College, and St. Charles School. You guys are still located within this tornado warning. So keep that in mind as we head into the next upcoming minutes. We still have 8 minutes left on this warning. We're going to stay on it until the National Weather Service clears it out. And there still was some slight rotation happening with it as it's made its way farther towards the northeast, just towards the east of Raywick along Highway 84, now making its way closer to St. Mary. That's where we're starting to see some of that possible rotation making its way into the next part of Marion County. So this is the entire area that we're keeping a close eye on. You'll notice where those red shaded colors are meeting the green shaded colors. That's where the winds are starting to show some rotation. And anytime we see those two colors meeting each other with this type of radar scan, that means that there's the possibility that some of that rotation could be making its way closer towards the ground, meaning that there's possible tornado activity on the ground as well. So just towards the east of Raywick and also closer towards St. Mary, that's where that severe thunderstorm has some rotation happening with it, and you need to make sure that you're in your safe place. This is a tornado warning for Marion County until 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time as the storm continues to make its way towards the northeast, just towards the west of Lebanon. So once again, if you're within Raywick, St. Mary, Lebanon, you need to make sure that you're in your safe place. This tornado warning storm is still around until 6:30 a.m. As it continues to track farther towards the northeast, we're going to continue to keep a close eye on this, but it did show some signs of some rotation earlier. That rotation got stronger just closer towards Badger. As it made its way out of Badger, it started showing some weakening, and now it started showing a bit more of a weaker profile. So this is still in place until 6:30 a.m. for Marion, and this is still definitely including some strong winds, some heavy rain, some small hail still possible with this storm as well. So St. Mary, you guys are definitely within the region of the tornado warning now. This is until 6:30 a.m. Still have a few more minutes left on this as it continues to make its way into Marion County up the northeast. So another check to see how the rotation is looking. The rotation is definitely starting to trend weaker as it makes its way just towards the northwest of Lebanon. There's still a small area of rotation that we're keeping a close eye on, but it's not looking as healthy as it did earlier. So if you're closer towards St. Mary, that region that's circled there along Highway 3 to 327, that's where some of that rotation is still possible as it makes its way closer into I would say if you're just towards the southeast of Springfield, if you're towards the southeast of Springfield, that is going to be the region that sees the next possible round of this severe thunderstorm that includes that possible rotation as well. So if you're towards the southeast of Springfield, that's an area that we're going to continue to keep a close eye on as this tornado warning storm continues to make its way through Marion County. Just towards the west of Lebanon, I would say for all the communities that are just towards the west of Lebanon, which includes St. Mary, and also Highway 49, Highway 84, Highway 327. You guys are going to see this severe thunderstorm make its way within the next 5 minutes. So we just got another radar scan. The rain showers are starting to ease up a bit within that severe thunderstorm. And also it still looks like that the rotation is starting to trend a bit weaker as well. So it looks like that the trend over the last 10 minutes has shown as the storm makes its way closer towards Springfield, there definitely is still the possibility of some of that weak rotation within the storm. But I believe that the National Weather Service is going to let this tornado warning ride itself out, expected to expire at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So the next city that's likely going to see this severe thunderstorm arrive is Springfield. So the following cities, if you guys are located within this area that I'm mentioning, which is Springfield, around 6:45 a.m. is whenever you'll start seeing this severe thunderstorm arrive, and that's going to include some heavy rain showers. And they're going to keep a close eye on that storm too where we could see some of that possible rotation building back. So just towards the northwest of Lebanon is where this severe thunderstorm is now located. It's starting to show signs of weakening as it makes its way just outside of St. Mary. So St. Mary, you guys are under that severe thunderstorm. That includes that possible rotating system with it as well. Some of that possible rotation is around until 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. So we still have a few minutes left on this warning. We're going to continue to keep just a close eye on it, just to make sure that we don't have any more alerts popping up on it, because this storm has shown signs of some strengthening and then some weakening and then some strengthening again, and now it appears to be back into that weakening phase. So this is once again in place just into the next 3 minutes until 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. This is for Marion County, and this tornado warned storm continues to make its way just towards St. Mary and just towards directly to the west of Lebanon. So a bit of a strong thunderstorm continuing to make its way into Marion County until 6:30 a.m. Eastern time, and this is still closer towards that St. Mary community along Highway 84, Highway 426, and also Highway 327 in Marion County. So this is definitely has been a hectic thunderstorm as it made its way into this more rural area of Kentuckiana. I know that there's not too many cities located within Marion County, but I definitely know that St. Mary is still located in that area that could have some of that possible rotation. So over the last few minutes, that rotation has gotten weaker. This storm is now making its way just towards the northwest of Lebanon and just towards the outside of Marion County. We're getting closer to 6:30 a.m., which is whenever this storm is set to expire. It's starting to make its way closer towards Springfield. So there still is a severe thunderstorm warning in place, and also tornado warning in place for Marion County until 6:30 a.m. This was a stronger thunderstorm that showed some rotation earlier, and now that rotation is starting to weaken a bit. For you folks there in Springfield, certainly getting some very heavy rain at the moment, hearing some loud thunder, and also the possibility of some small hail associated with that storm. But this is continuing to make its way into Marion County, and it did show some weakening trends over the last few moments. So this is where the storm is located now. That rotation starting to ease up a bit as it made its way just towards St. Mary. Now that it's trending farther towards the northeast of St. Mary, that rotation is starting to ease up as this storm continues to make its way farther away from Lebanon and now making its way closer into Springfield. So once again, this is set to expire at 6:30 a.m. and we're going to keep just a close eye on this. We're going to wait for that tornado warning to expire. The National Weather Service continuing to keep a close eye on this storm in Marion County. So I would say now, if you're located in the city of Springfield, stay indoors, ride the storm out. This is still going to be a strong thunderstorm for you folks in Springfield as it continues to make its way just towards the northeast. So that severe thunderstorm warning is still around for you folks in Marion County. And this is still going to arrive just towards, I'd say, the south of Springfield is going to see some of that stronger activity where some of those winds could be gusting over 50 miles per hour. And the warning has now been lifted now that we're in that 6:30 a.m. time. So I would say we're good to go with the storm. The rotation, we'll do one more check on it just to do a double check to make sure that things are easing up a bit. And it looks like that this is now just turning into just a strong wind event. So we're going to keep a close eye on this. The National Weather Service will also keep a close eye on it. And if they need to issue any more alerts, we'll make sure that we keep you updated. Grace, Jim.
Matt, thank you. Hey, do go ahead and make sure that you download the WHAS 11 weather app. You can scan the QR code on your screen, and we will get you alerts like the one we've been experiencing this morning as soon as we have them. It is the best way to stay up to date and to stay safe.
That's right, and we will have more coverage here on GMK coming up in just a couple of minutes after the break.